Hey guys, on today's episode Beyond the Chair with the Mayor Abdullah Hammoud, we talked about Dearborn on what's his vision for the city. That was nice, so stay tuned to hear it. Hey guys, welcome Beyond the Chair with the Mayor Abdullah Hammoud, City of Dearborn. We're gonna discuss a lot of things with him about Dearborn. Okay, Abdullah, I have first question.
It can't be about taxes.
No.
Okay. That's it. Fine.
What does Dearborn means to you?
Man, Dearborn is home. Dearborn is, for me, the greatest city in all the land. Not because I'm the mayor. Obviously, I'm biased in that opinion. But Dearborn is the place where I grew up. My parents first immigrated to, where I'm raising my daughters and moving my wife to. Dearborn for us is like an escape from reality in many ways.
Okay. What do you love the most about City of Dearborn community?
I think it's the culture that we've created.
Yes.
You can't walk into any building in Dearborn and not know someone, and not have someone ask you how you are, how your family is, offer to assist you, fight to pay for the bill over you. That's just the culture and the community that we've created in the city of Dearborn, and I wouldn't replace it for anything.
Have you lived outside of Dearborn?
I lived in Ann Arbor for about 5 years. I went there for graduate school, and then I stayed there for a few years while I worked for the health system out there. But you don't realize how much you love Dearborn until you leave it. And
You're right about that.
yeah, and I have a brother in California.
For real.
And every time he comes back, he talks about how much he misses and how the people that he loves.
It's I don't feel like it's America being in Dearborn, man. I don't know. I'm not saying it in a bad way. I genuinely mean this in a good way. But I feel like it's a different part of America.
I challenge that. I think it's what America aspires to be like.
Okay.
In that you have such diverse communities, people from all walks of life, whether it was the Polish, the Italians, the Lebanese, the Yemeni, the Iraqi, you name it, all living amongst one another, with respect for one another, celebrating one another's diversity.
100%.
And oftentimes you hear that analogy of, we want to be the melting pot. Dearborn's not the melting pot.
It's a salad.
We're the salad bowl. Everybody holds down to, their dialect, their roots, their heritage, their ancestry. And that's what's so much appreciated about Dearborn. And I think, where else do you find the city with the largest mosque in the country, neighboring 3 churches, sharing the same parking lot and the same sidewalks?
So maybe I should say that's why it's not like America, because, or at least in my experience of America, right? I've lived in New York, I've lived in Florida, California, did a bit of time in Phoenix. Sounds like a prison, looks like a prison, right? The warmth in Dearborn is not found anywhere else. Yeah. And that's what I mean when I say maybe it's not America, because America, at least from an outsider's point of view, it's a very individualistic place. Yeah. It's all my own personal success. Everyone came here to, find their own dream. I don't owe you nothing, you don't owe me nothing. We're all strangers, we came here. But Dearborn is not like that. Dearborn is, it's a very tight-knit community, you know what I mean? Like, even if I don't see you, I'll know what's going on in your life. Not in a bad way, obviously, like, not gossip kind of thing, but no, because there's gossip I want to see you fall, right? And then there's genuine concern. سمعت شو صار مع فلان يا حرام, his family passed away. If, yalla, let's go Azzi, you know what I mean? So it's a very connected, I don't feel like an individual in Dearborn. I feel like whether you like it or not, you belong to something greater.
I think Dearborn firmly believes that when you uplift the least of us, you uplift all of us. And I've never seen a city where, for example, when we have a young student graduating high school, 4.5 these days, 5.0, full ride, the whole city is cheering it on. I remember when we had one of Dearborn's own, Mariam Jalloul, when she gave the commencement speech at Harvard when she was graduating. City of Dearborn put it on for everybody to watch. 100%. And so when we had Morocco at the semi-cup finals, the semifinals, for the World Cup, bro, we hosted a free watch party. We only had seats for 1,200. 5,000 people showed up. And it's because, we don't have a large Moroccan population. First African team, first Arab team, Muslim team. So for many, they were excited about this.
So what's one thing you're gonna change in Dearborn overnight? Like one thing you...
If you could.
Yeah.
Oh, if I could?
Yes.
I want to change about Dearborn, what would it be?
That's an interesting one. You know, Dearborn is an old city. We're over 100 years old, which means we have a lot of old infrastructure underground. And so it's not the sexiest project. But if we wanted to change all the stormwater infrastructure that helps reduce flooding, it's about a $800 million project. So if I could snap my fingers and have it be gone and have it be addressed, I'd do that because it would save the taxpayers a whole lot of money, and you can address it now. Again, not the sexiest project, but it's like a very mayoral answer, I think.
But to be honest, like when we see Dearborn before and right now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying in front of you. You change a lot, especially like West Dearborn, all the parking, all the, like, it's an amazing thing. Where else, like, would you like to change in Dearborn right now?
I like how he points at me while he says, what do you want to change in Dearborn?
Yeah.
Go on.
You know, there are some things that, for me, like our parks are, you know, we're updating them, some more outdated.
Okay.
And I became a father 30 days before I became mayor. And so the hat I often wear now is like, great, how do I want to make sure that my daughter has the best quality of life? You got to have these new parks, you know, they're inclusive for kids of all abilities and disabilities to play together. You want STEM centers and STEAM centers, you know, during the cold because we live in Michigan. And so, you know, you want aquariums, you want theaters, you want bowling alleys, the things that we had growing up that are still missing in the city of Dearborn.
Right.
And so for me, we're trying to put on our bulldog hat to recruit a lot of these businesses to say, hey, Dearborn isn't only a place where you can go out to eat and drink. It's also a place where you have some of these activities.
Right.
You can have these social activities.
And we have a huge growing population. Sorry to
We
cut
have a
you
young
off.
population.
Young population, parents like in their 20s, 30s with like 2-3-year-old kids, right? Winter comes along, where do we go, right? So definitely you're on something there. That's great.
From the numbers perspective, we're the fastest growing city in Michigan. 1. 2, the average age in Michigan is 40. Average age in Dearborn is 30. 40% of our population is under the age of 25. And the fastest growing age group are those under the age of 4. We actually are decreasing in average age by about 1.5 years every year. Cities would kill to have the statistics
we
and demographics that Dearborn has.
I think you're on something very important here. I don't know if you're taking it too well, but I definitely want to talk about this. A lot of talent leaves Dearborn because it thinks nothing's happening here.
Yeah.
What are you doing to try and keep our talent here? Especially like, نحن تعبنا عليهم, you know what I mean? ترباية وكل شيء, you know? So how do we keep that talent in here? I know you're working on some projects. Do share it with us, yeah.
Well, one is, you know, the beauty of Dearborn is we're also an entrepreneurial city. So we want to make sure that the entrepreneurial spirit can live in Dearborn. So this year, actually in May, we're launching a pitch competition. And so where we as a city, we're partnered with UVM Dearborn, American Business Chamber of Commerce, and others. The winner gets $25,000, second place $15,000, third place I think it's 5 for 10. Seed money to help you start your business in the city of Dearborn. We just launched a $1 million program with the American Women's Business Council. A lot of the women in our community are entrepreneurs. We're putting them through a business boot camp, and when they finish that boot camp, they too will also have seed funding to start up their own businesses. So we want to demonstrate that we see the entrepreneurial spirit. Now we as a city got to match it. Second, the investment in parks and places like that, so that you don't feel like you got to leave Dearborn to enjoy the time with your family. We're really building that up. And so we have a lot of things that we're going to be announcing in the coming months. What we're doing with our libraries to make them more innovative, to try to welcome more children, so on and so forth. We're working with a lot of major employers. Obviously, Ford has built a 2 million square foot facility in Dearborn that opens up later this year to make sure that retention stays here. But the biggest thing is housing. And so right now, we have a 2% vacancy rate in Dearborn. That's unheard of. Right. It's like 0.2% on the sales side, 2% on the rental side.
It's just properties quick to go.
Correct.
Because there's not enough, yes.
Yeah, they last in the market less than
7 days.
Yes.
2 of our zip codes are actually the top 2 zip codes for like sales in the state of Michigan. And so we're working now with many clients and consultants. We have some land that the city owns to prepare for massive housing projects. So that we can do all the pre-planning works, the documentation, so when we build the house and get ready to sell the parcels, you can get it for a far more affordable price.
Right.
So that Dearborn is a place that you want to stay. You know, my sister just moved out of Dearborn, not because she wanted to. She bid on 35 different homes in Dearborn, couldn't land one. And so we need more housing stock. They're saying at minimum we need 2,000 new units of housing in the next 5 to 7 years, but we're only building about 50 a year right now.
So
Massive housing shortage.
Is that because of land shortage or?
Because we're fairly landlocked. There's not many places you can build homes at in Dearborn. But Ford has sold some land in recent years, and that's now allowing us to unlock a lot of opportunity to build new homes. And Dearborn is the destination, again, fastest growing city in Michigan. It's the destination place. Right. Close proximity to Detroit, close proximity to the Southfield, to the freeway, to the airport. You can't beat it.
I want to ask you a personal question, but I feel like Teef might have one.
Yes.
Yeah?
So we know now, like, it's gonna be what they call the voting for Mayor, like coming up.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people love Mayor Abdullah Hammoud.
Hard man not to love.
For real. So how you let these people like love you that much? For real.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, my wife ensures that I stay humble. I think all the success I attribute to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, honestly. I firmly believe that. You obviously know the story of how I came into this.
This is where I was going, but carry on.
Yeah, you know.
Hear that one, Hassan. Abdullah, he's talking.
I'm saying this is exactly what I was saying.
So,
Yeah.
before, I don't know if you remember that I cut you in your
You
wedding.
coming for my wedding?
Yes.
Yeah. You called my hair for my wedding.
He always willing to help.
Yeah.
That person, for real, like even before, I don't speak nothing. So when I met Abdullah, I was cutting his hair. He said, "Your family here?" I told him no, but I have my brother. I'm struggling with his papers. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, connect you with Rashid.
He told me, "You know what? Look, I have connection." I don't even know him, bro. Like he's just a client. I know his brother, but how he's willing to help from out of his way. Different people there, you know what, I'm gonna get my haircut, I'm gonna leave. I don't wanna deal with that. He take my phone number. Man, I really appreciate you. I still remember that.
I think we met Chicago first time.
Nah.
Ummah convention.
Yeah.
But I don't know this guy at all, Teef. Like, wallah, I don't even know who he is. Like, just a bunch of people walked up and introduced me to him, right? And at the time, like, obviously, you know, a lot of people are asking questions. Abdullah and our first encounter was he was listening to me give a talk. So that was what you had come for. Like how would I do it? You were asking me, like, if you were in my position, what would you do? It's a bit of a tough question. I'm not gonna lie, what I'm gonna ask you, but only because I know you're qualified to answer it. And I know that you always speak from the heart, right? We spoke about religion, we spoke about your dreams, your ambitions, how much you care for the city, right?
Yeah.
And I remember asking you, I said to you, when you're going up there, are you going up there to represent Islam? Are you going up there to represent yourself? Or are you going there to represent the city that you love? Right, I'm gonna ask you this question again now, about, how long has it been? 8 years maybe? A long time. Who do you represent as Abdullah Hammoud?
You know, it's such an interesting question, but it's such a top of mind question. For me, I represent the city as Abdullah Hammoud and everything that I grew up as, right? Ultimately, I ran for office and people voted for me based on the values that I put out. And the values that I own and that I have are based on my upbringing. And I am the son of Hajj Hassan, Hajj Ghada, the nephew of Sheikh Ahmed, and this is the community that I grew up in. And so ultimately, but when you're in that position of elected office, you represent the whole city. Yes. And so there are things that you do to lead that whole city forward. I think that's the beauty of the position. And it hasn't come without its challenges.
It doesn't. That's exactly what we're going to go to next. Now, I remember we had this conversation. And the reason why I'm saying is, look, again, outsider's perspective, new to the town. Although I've been watching, for example, when you did the Dua Ahad, right? I'm not gonna lie, like your boy was just sharing the hell out of that, right? I was like, look, this happening. We've got one of our boys in there, you know? And then there was this incident for the thing that we discussed, you know, when this question comes, because look, for any person who's in politics, that's a very tough question to answer, right? Especially in America. But especially when you come from a Muslim background, the world typically perceives that Islam is so anti. You, Smallah, you handled that situation very well. Yeah. You didn't compromise on your deen. Yeah. You didn't compromise on your Arab culture. But you also didn't offer to the altar the sacrifice of one group over another so that you can remain in office. I saw very closely how you were engaging, maybe not in front of the cameras, but you were actually moving around in every different community, speaking to people. As everywhere I go, I'm like, man, this guy is really busy. Like, you know, he's not just mayor by name. So I want you to bring to light some of those difficult juggling and conversations that you have, because people do need to understand it's not as simple as just having someone who represents us as Muslims, as Arabs. You know, I was talking to someone just yesterday about this, actually, your name came up and they were like, you know, why doesn't he do this? And I said, he can, but then nobody wants to do business in Dearborn again, because not all of America shares the values that we grew up with, right? So you're dealing with a lot at the helm. How do you juggle all these different things?
You know, as mayor, you know, even in life, sometimes you want to do what you think can help usher your city move it forward, to improve the quality of life for all residents within your city. That's like the politicky answer. But when you get in there, it's like, yes, I'm a proud Muslim. You know, I grew up in this faith. I lean on this faith. I lean on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wisdom wherever I can. And you have to understand that sometimes you make difficult decisions without, again, to your point, betraying your faith, but in the understanding that you have. Yes. My goal as mayor is to ensure that everybody in the city of Dearborn feels welcome in the city of Dearborn. And it's not my job. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not prescribe me to judge anyone.
Right. You're not the prophet.
He actually prescribed me to try to perfect my own morals and characters. So I try to focus on that more than anything. And I tell folks, you don't have to agree with anybody else's lifestyle or how they choose to live their personal life.
100%.
That's not for you. Your responsibility is upon yourself and upon your family and your household. And that's all you can do. And trust me, that's more than enough. Even that, you're going to struggle with, you know, throughout the entirety of our lives. Not everybody agrees, and it's okay. Yeah. I think disagreement is healthy. Disagreement challenges the conversation and narrative that we're having.
Pushes us to do better.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I also try to focus on the issues that are impacting people. You know, today you're probably impacted by your tax assessment. You're impacted by the quality of our roads, the flooding that happened in your basement. You're ensuring that your neighborhood is safe. Right. None of these are impacted by whether your neighbor is Muslim, Christian, or Jewish. Absolutely. Or any other component of any part of their identity. That's not what really is at the forefront. And so oftentimes I think the media focuses on a component of somebody's identity to create the boogeyman, to distract you from what's actually happening, from the real issues. And so I think I try to center the real issues and tell folk, listen, at the end of the day, here are the 5 things that are impacting you every single day. Is the police and fire responding on time? Is your garbage getting picked up? Did your street get plowed when it snowed heavily? Are your taxes affordable so you can buy a house? Are you able to afford a house and buy a house because we have a short housing stock? Are your kids enjoying the local park, or is the playscape outdated?
I can say yes to all of those. I live in Dearborn.
So these are the things that you're actually facing, and it's nothing else. So I think trying to center that conversation is really important.
You know.
Sincerely, like, I'm not saying it's just, but how? Because see, I understand, he understands. Sometimes we're just dealing with friends, not, I don't know what's the population of Dearborn, but 10, 20, 30,000, whatever it might be. Okay, Smallah, right? How do you stay true to your own core beliefs? How do you stay centered, like you said? Because we could be having a conversation, especially barber shop talk, right? And we lose it and we quickly get distracted, as you said, from the real topic by going after the boogeyman, you know? So how do you filter out all that noise, that nonsense? I know you mentioned your wife plays a great role in keeping you humble. Who else in your team helps to keep you grounded?
We have a whole team, but it's keeping yourself grounded in reality. It's not just my wife, it's also I look at my daughters and I tell myself, great, what kind of city am I building for my daughters? That's like my North Star. Right. Put everything else aside. And understanding that I have to care for my own family, because if I can't care for my family, I can't care for my Dearborn family. Absolutely. And then honestly, I'm a firm believer of prayer and dua and faith. You'll see me, you know, regardless of how busy my schedule is, still doing all my wajbat. That grounds you.
Yes. 100%.
You know, I was at a funeral service before I came here just 2 hours ago. On the weekends, I do my wajbat. I go to the 2-3 services that occur there. Not that I have to be there because I'm mayor. I have to be there because I'm Abdullah and I'm still Muslim at the end of the day. And I understand what my akhirah is. Yes. And that keeps you grounded though. When you sit there, you're listening to the lectures, you're understanding, great, keep your eye on the prize and don't get distracted by the noise. Social media is destructive. Very. And take it from me. I used to say in a campaign cycle, my wife would be like, why are you on your phone all night? I call it strategic research. And she's like, no, you're just, you're reading all the troll comments. You can't get distracted by it. My team does a good job at not allowing me to get distracted. We're very focused. We're very smart at what we do. And I hire the best, and really the majority of my team is from the city of Dearborn.
Allah subhanahu wa
So
ta'ala
what's a lesson you learned when you became Amir? Something you learned it.
You can't do anything by yourself. You can't.
It's hard.
It doesn't matter how great you think you are. And listen, I think I'm a pretty decent mayor. I think, our administration has only been to accomplish whatever it's been accomplished because I have like the GOAT of all teams. Sometimes I feel like I'm Steph Curry and Golden State, when they had KD and the whole gang. Or I feel like, I'm Detroit Pistons and the Bad Boys, right? Because if you don't have a solid team, you can't do it. You can't physically, mentally, and spiritually carry it all on your own. You literally cannot. I'm not responsible for arresting the person that's speeding. I'm not responsible for making sure that the street is plowed. Your team is. If you got no faith in your team or the person leading those individuals,
you're not going nowhere.
You got nothing. No matter how smart you are.
So do you ever thought you're gonna go for the governor?
No.
Why?
No.
I think you do a lot for the city of Dearborn.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of Arabic community in Michigan.
Yeah.
So you never thought about it?
I don't think too far out. I really don't. I think at the 1 year, 2 year levels. And I don't think at the 5, 10 year. Yeah, and it's largely because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not guaranteed anything. My brother Ali passed away at 27 years and 9 months.
Allah yarhamhum.
And I had, before I ran for mayor, me and my friends had that saying, whether it was Canifer and a few others that you knew, it was 6 figures by 26. It meant, we wanted to have financial security at the age of 26 as growing up very poor. And at 25, I landed the 6-figure interview actually. And alhamdulillah, we're on that track to land that job when my brother Ali passed away unexpectedly. And he was there. He was 27 years and 9 months. And so what is the beauty of 6 figures by 26 if you can pass away at 27? It really centers you, it grounds you.
Yes.
Which is why, again, I do my wajbait by attending all the services because you never know when it's your day. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. And so I don't think too far out. I think about what the responsibility is ever and out. And I have a responsibility to the residents of Dearborn to make it the best it can possibly be. And we have a ways to go.
Now it's amazing. Dearborn, it's amazing now.
And there's still so much to do.
Yes. So do you feel like you have competition on this voting, the new one? Do you have is it a lot of people voting against you?
You have to understand, I won 2021 with 55% of the vote. What does that mean? That means you walked in with 45% of people not wanting you there. And the reality is, the largest voting bloc were everybody who never voted, right? The majority of people don't vote. Because you don't even know how they feel. Yeah.
But you know what's crazy
You don't even know how they feel.
You know what's crazy about Dearborn? I seen it. Arabic community, we supposed to put one and vote for him.
Yeah.
Not for, let's say, 5 different Arabic people, and we have amount of Arabic, they're gonna vote for this guy, for this guy, for this guy, for this guy.
I'm gonna disagree with it and tell you why.
That's how I look at it.
The Arab
one
are
person.
about 55 to 60% of the city now. If Arab were 100% of the city.
But you're the first Arabic mayor.
I understand that.
See what I'm saying?
But it's okay. But what I'm saying is there are so many qualified and competent people. Arab, non-Arab, white, black, brown, it's okay. Everybody who is heart and I think whose need and intention is in it for the right reasons, by all means put it forth and let the residents and the voters decide in the end.
I say this, look, Allah,
it's a part of the process. And honestly, it makes you better.
Even from an Islamic point of
Can
view.
you imagine if there's only one barber in the city?
No.
We'd all walk
Competition
out
is healthy.
Yeah, we'd all walk out with awful haircuts.
Look, Abdullah did what, he did the hardest thing that could have been done, okay? Being the first is always the tough part. Because I still remember that conversation we had. It was a very, I remember we literally just went and sat outside in the cold somewhere and started talking. I saw a man who was struggling with a lot. He was dealing with a lot. He didn't know whether his community is going to accept him. He didn't know whether the Muslim community is going to turn against him and say, oh, you're running for a government that is bombing us back home, right? So he was dealing with a lot, and that's primarily why a lot of Arabs didn't go through it. What he did, though, is what Allah says, as-sabiqun. There's very few of the sabiqun. They're the forerunners. They're the people, the pioneers that just say, you know what? I believe in God and I believe this needs to be done. I don't know what's going to happen next, but here I come. Let's go, right? And he ran with it. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I remember we met the second time at someone's home. I can't remember.
Jennifer's house.
I think so, right? Yeah, we met at someone's home. And again, it was a beautiful conversation. And I'm like, there's something about this guy, right? I still can't put my finger on it, but there is something, right? And I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you the tawfiq, the life, the success that you need for us all to see what that thing is, inshallah, and it will be a beautiful surprise for all of us. But coming back to this point, once he's gone out and he's done it, I think it's time that we start coming in. Because I personally don't see you here. I personally see you running as governor, right? Now, honestly, I want to know what is next in line.
Let me just make this point.
Next,
you talk about
know?
being the first and that being the hardest. The hardest, I don't think, is being the first. The hardest is in doing such a good job to ensure you're not the last. And the reason I say that is...
I like this, man.
The reason I say that is like, listen, alhamdulillah, sure we were first. We ran on being the best though, because what I want is the next time somebody with a different name runs, maybe it's another Arab Muslim, maybe it's a female Arab Muslim, maybe it's somebody of a different religion, different denomination, whatever it might be, with a different sounding name. I want people to say, hey, you know what? The last time we had somebody with a lot of syllables in their first name, they did a pretty good job. So you know what? We can take that chance a little bit more comfortable the next time somebody runs too.
What I was saying, the question before, you said like you're not with it.
Yeah.
But let's say like when I need some mosque in Dearborn, and somebody he's not a Muslim, but he's a good person, but he doesn't know about Muslim. Like we need to build a mosque. Like before, not now.
Yeah.
When we have a mere like Muslim, we can go. Hey, you know what? We need to open that mosque. He gonna help a lot.
Yeah.
Because he sees us, he understands.
Yeah.
So that's the point when I'm saying like 4 or 5 people voting for Amir and one. So you're gonna waste all these votes.
I would challenge you to tell you this though, right? If there was somebody running against me who, let's say, was white in a different faith, but I think was more qualified, we should be voting for that.
100%. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. But what I'm saying, like we have a lot of scar females. Like we need to protect them. The kids growing and saying what we grew up back home.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like one person or twice, 2 people.
Yeah.
They make it better for the city.
Like, instead of competing with each other, we should rally behind one person and support that one person. But here's the thing. Here's the beauty. Not everybody feels that Abdullah represents them, right? For example, we've got people now that are upset with the tints. I'm one of them. I'm still voting for you, though. On God, I'm still voting for him, right? You're gonna see my name. You're gonna see my name. No, see, look. I'll tell you why I tip my windshield, right? Mine is a bit more medicinal, so I have paperwork and whatnot.
Not for windshield, though.
No.
But I'm with him.
But here's the thing. What I'm saying is, Abdullah is not representing just Arabs. Abdullah is also representing Dearborn, Americans. So now, what I'm saying is, there are Arabs that also want to be like, okay, well, I can do it, but continue.
So,
but also, every decision you make, you're not going to get 100% approval.
100%.
About the tent, I'm with him. Bro, have you seen how many people dying every day because of that tent? Okay, say it whatever you want to say it. A lot of people dying.
Yeah.
Why? Because bro, you can't see, especially at night. How are you gonna see at night and you flying?
Look, flying.
16 years old.
Yes.
Like I don't.
There's a simple saying: you have to do the most good for the most people.
Yes.
And that's the Islamic saying, by the way. You don't take
the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal of what we do.
So I don't think it's nothing wrong with.
My point. No,
don't tint your car.
No, but my point is this. There are people who are going to disagree with Abdullah. Right? They will.
You can't.
And here's the beauty.
They disagree with the Nabi.
Exactly, and that's the beauty, right? People disagreed with the Nabi. Right? I'm not saying you're a Nabi or anything. Astaghfirullah. I'm not saying that about anyone. We're not saying anyone's masoom. But I'm saying, I get where he's coming from. He welcomes it. Why? Because if I'm sure that I'm doing something good, and I believe that I'm doing good, I welcome you. Because look, sometimes it's nice to have competition sitting next to me.
100%.
Why? Because the competition is going to do all my marketing. I don't need to say that I'm better than him. People will actually see, no, you're just running on doing the tints, for example. Oh, I'm going to stop giving you guys tickets, no tints, blah, blah, blah. That's great for me, the one guy, Hassan, right? but what about my taxes tomorrow? Because I also own multiple properties in Dearborn, right? We're gonna have a conversation about that. Wink, wink, right? What am I gonna do about my taxes, right? What am I gonna do? Potholes, right? What am I gonna do about that, right? Especially when I'm driving a car, every time I'm gonna change the tires. So he's dealing, again, this is just me on a very, very petty level. I'm not on the same level where I hear people's problems, but sometimes it's good to have competition because one, and I think this is where it really, for me personally, I would love to see happen, that when Arabs run against Abdullah Hammoud, we're going to see that he's not good mayor just because he's Arab and representing Arabs. You understand me?
100%.
So people will actually see him on his own merits, outside of his religion, outside of his culture, outside of everything. They say, this is a guy who actually has a brain that understands people, understands systems, understands how to build relationships. And I feel that's what he's been doing.
You want to be the
If
best.
if you don't have hate, it means you're not doing anything right.
True.
So he gonna have a lot of.
How people hate on you for the haircuts that you give? You have 100% satisfaction amongst your clients?
No,
That's the reality.
and a lot of them they like not my client. A lot
You gotta
of,
schedule 3 months out to get a barber teeth.
but a lot of people like I get DMs.
Yeah.
Oh, you shitty barber. Oh, okay, thank you.
I'm not for you.
But also, when you're trying to be
But
the
I
best,
love it.
When you're trying to be the best barber, you're not trying to be the best auto barber.
Yeah.
You're trying to be the best barber.
100%.
Period.
100%.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. What would you say has been the most difficult decision you had to make? It could be family, it could be anything, but just as Abdullah the man, like what is the most difficult decision you had to make?
Pursuit of the office. It comes with sacrifice.
Talk to us about this.
You know, you have young children too, right? I have 2 young daughters, alhamdulillah. And so every hour you spend extra in the office, you spend away from the house. That's the sacrifice. It's not an hour you ever get back. Now, I've come a long way. And I've been doing this now for 8 years, so I don't have to attend every dinner. I don't have to be at every single event. But you still want to be very visible and very present and very accessible. But that comes at a cost. But there's some things that like my wife has educated me on, like, you know, don't walk in on the house on the phone because your daughter's waiting to greet you, to make sure that you finish the phone call before you walk in. The weekends, you should try to clear up as much as you can. It's okay to tell somebody, to have a business owner, yo, you want to open up your business? I got no problem coming to ribbon cutting.
My wife cannot hear this interview, period.
But can you do it like,
my
can you do the ribbon cutting ceremony Monday through Thursday as opposed to Friday at 7 p.m.? You know, here was the biggest shift from when I got married to when I was not married. When I'd walk into an event, I would be the one walking to every single table. And then when I walked into my wife, I did it the first time. My wife was like, you just left me alone for 45 minutes. And I was like, you're so right. So it's like, it's okay to be there. People can also walk up to you and say hello. You know, the salam goes both ways.
Yeah.
But I'm also with my wife. I can't just be running around and acting like I'm not with someone. And so it comes a lot of adjustment, but that's honestly the toughest decision is the decision to run. Because your family, there's a lot of baggage that comes with the job. It's a separation of personal and political. The line gets blurred.
Very quickly.
You know, my brothers have gotten comments, my uncles have gotten comments, my parents, my wife more than anybody. People have come after my daughters with comments.
What does make Dearborn like stand out from the other cities?
It's the people. You know, the people in Dearborn are the ones who will be there for you on your worst of days and be there for you on the best of days. You know, not to say that we don't have our problems. We have our problems.
It's a beautiful community, to be honest.
Honestly, if we can undo one creation in this world, I hope it was WhatsApp, because WhatsApp decimates you can't beat a WhatsApp group chat or a WhatsApp forward. If that one of them gets out, you're done.
Now,
But can I just say,
now you get out with your family. You get out with your family. Like you want to go to the best restaurant in Dearborn. Which one gonna be? That's a lot of them, but one you like.
you put him in a very tough spot right now.
No, everybody knows my favorite restaurant is Tahamas, hands up. Like, you know, Tahamas.
shout out.
Shout out to Medhat, the best meat shawarma you're ever gonna have. But nowadays, you're going to the restaurant that accommodates your children. That is the truth.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, he's still newly married. He ain't had kids, so he doesn't know. Yeah,
Just yet.
yeah. There you go, right? You got to find the one that's got the least calories, you know.
That's got the high chair. You need the one that has the high chair at least.
If you had a message to anybody out there, especially mashallah, we have, you know, at the Sayyidah Khadija family reunion iftar that we're doing, it's basically bringing Muslim professional networks together to build a bridge between students that are trying to get into a career path, so that they can meet with professionals such as yourself who already pioneered the way and went forward, and that they can maybe have a conversation over iftar as we do, you know. For anyone who's out there, and we're seeing in our list of, you know, people, especially for tonight's attorneys night, we're seeing political activism. That's what they're choosing to put in their job description or their career path that they've chosen, future governor, etc., like that. So it's really exciting for me to see like a 15, 14-year-old putting that down as their aspiration. I'd like to believe that you had something to do with that, although I can't say for sure. But what would your message be to any young Arab Muslim out there that's trying to do it?
The first is never change who you are. You know, when I first ran, people approached me asking if Abdullah was the right name to run with. That we've had a Mike, a Susan, a Dave, a Sam, but we've never had a Abdullah. And it comes with its own challenges. It really does. You know, the one thing that transcends partisan politics is bigotry. You know, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're affiliated with, there are bigots on all sides. And so for me, staying authentic to who I am, not shying away from my faith, reading dua at the state house legislature. When I speak, I give my hellos and I give my salams. I'm not shy to say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during a speech. I don't have to hide my faith. I think I say Dearborn is a city where they elect you based on the direction in which you lead, regardless of the direction in which you pray. And that is a blessing. And so the message to the young people is, you'd be surprised at how far staying your authentic self will take you. But the second message I have to the whole Muslim Ummah is for us to stop dividing ourselves. We've gotten far too comfortable with it. And, you know, if we're looking overseas and we see the death and destruction in Syria, in Lebanon, in Palestine, in Iraq, in Yemen, you name it, death and destruction everywhere. And those behind it are all the same. If they can't tell the difference between us, why are we doing the job for them? And I often give the example, when I was giving my farewell speech at the state legislature in Lansing, one of my brothers, Ibrahim Ayash, he was the highest ranking Muslim elected in the state last year before he stepped down. Yemeni, right? Yemeni American out of Hamtramck, Yemeni Sunni brother. And when I finished my speech in Lansing, I gave a joke saying my name is not, and I named another Arab, his name is Yusuf Rabi. I had people walk up to Abraham Ayash and congratulate him on becoming the mayor of Dearborn. And we laugh about it. Yeah. But if they don't know the difference between him and I, why do we know the difference between each other?
100%.
Powerful. That is so powerful.
Yes, it
The
is.
sectarianism has to die. Yeah. The nationalism has to die. It's just going to break us apart. And honestly, that's the biggest disease, I think, right now across the Arab and the Muslim Ummah.
I was speaking with Dr. Alina yesterday. She said the same thing. You know, people, when they drop, they just see Ummat Muhammad. They don't see who and what, you know. They hit Syria in the same way they hit Lebanon, in the same way they hit Palestine.
You should to see Dr. Jiab when I bought him. Not the last podcast, the podcast before. This guy insane.
Yeah.
Enter right now, I'm gonna get him in again.
Yeah.
Because we didn't finish the podcast. So it's an hour and a half and we didn't done.
Yeah.
He go to Gaza every month.
Yeah.
Bro, drive me crazy.
Yeah.
How good human being he is.
Yeah. In the end, that's what matters. That's what should matter.
Yes. What would you do when you're not working? What would you like to do?
My daughters are so funny. Allah yahmiyun. And
Allah يخليهم إن شاء الله ويربيهم بعزك.
Ya Rab. I love spending time with my family. And so for me, like I'm a people person. And so if I wasn't mayor, I'd only spend time with my family as much as possible. But also, you know, I was talking to Muhammad about this, my brother, the other day. The siblings have not lived together in the same city since I moved out at the age of 19. And, you know, what would you do if you knew that last day when I moved out was the last time the siblings would be together? Before Khayyim, my brother passed away, Muhammad moved to Florida, Yusuf moved to California. And so now Muhammad's back. And Naila just got married and she's back. And Yusuf is looking to come back. And so for me, it's like, it's also rekindling that, you know, the siblings that you lived with for 19 years. Spending more time with my family, whether my in-laws, who I love to death as well, they treat me as if, you know, one of their own. And my own family and the boys, obviously. I've had the same boys since 6th grade. You know, that's the beauty of Dearborn. You know, I love to work out. But that's honestly, that's it.
In hindsight,
Spend time with great people.
if you could do
You guys, amazing people. Like I know Muhammad, his brother,
Yeah.
since I first came here.
Yeah.
Not even one word's English. So I look at him, bro. This guy, like, he speaks fluent Arabic, religious, and
Alhamdulillah, I often tell people like, yeah, okay, cool, I'm married, blah, blah, blah. With every sibling, it gets better and better.
like that's what I seen. Muhammad, the younger one, Muhammad, right?
He's the youngest brother.
Yes.
And then I have a sister younger than
So
him.
I talked to him, Muhammad. How old
That's
were
the
you
success
when
of
your
the
dad
parents.
passed away?
No, my brother. My brother passed away.
Your brother.
I was 25. Muhammad was much younger.
He was a baby.
Was your Allah yarham, was your brother older than you?
My brother was the oldest. So we're 4 boys and a girl. He was the oldest.
Bro,
I'm
when I
number
look
2.
at that person, it's no way like he's born here and raised here.
Yeah. That
It's
tells you
amazing
the
he's here in
Compliment to the
Dearborn.
parents.
Wallah.
power of the parents.
Honestly, compliment to parents
Yeah.
and illa ma rahima
household.
rabbi, man. Because you see some parents really struggle. But I always tell people, don't discredit yourself. Like, I'm sure when your parents told you do this, don't listen to your friends. You had to struggle. You weren't just like, okay, mama, right? Like your friend must have said to you, yeah, come out, let's do this. But you also made the executive decision that khalas, ana hadalni ma ahli. You know what I mean? So kudos to you. You know.
See what I told you when I was struggling with my brother papers. So I called Muhammad a couple days ago, and just, man, you doing podcasts? Like it looks amazing, bro. You know what? He started sending me like Instagram for people. Bro, this guy you gotta do podcasts with him. This guy you gotta do podcasts with him. Man, I love this guy. Like he support me with nothing.
he
like,
loves you.
I love him too.
There are people who Allah just tells us they like khair for people.
Yeah.
You know, there's people that just
more
like
beautiful
to do,
than that. Wallah,
it
it's more
is.
beautiful
Wallah.
than
No,
that.
I'm saying like they genuinely like you know when you say, I don't know, man. There's words that don't translate in English. You know when you say someone's just tayyub,
Nah.
like min al fitra, he's just tayyub. Like if he sees someone struggling, he won't even ask. He won't even tell his friends. He'll just get up and go and help. You know. So alhamdulillah, we have that a lot in here in Dearborn.
Yesterday I was at Kidcadia
Uh-huh.
on Michigan Avenue.
Bit too old for that, ain't you?
They killed a few hours before iftar, and my wife got annoyed with me because I kept saying, "I'm so happy they're doing so well as a business establishment." Because I know the owners, the nicest of people, the kindest of hearts, and I just kept telling Fatima, "I'm so happy this place is slammed." As it makes it more difficult for us to order for the kids or stuff. I'm so happy they're doing so well, because honestly, there's no greater feeling than to see other people succeed.
It is, man. It is.
What's the biggest change in Dearborn happenings?
Coming up. What's the biggest?
Yes.
I think if you look at
Yeah.
if you look to our downtowns, if you look to the clientele coming to Dearborn, it's no longer just Dearborn residents. Dearborn is now a destination, which I didn't think we had growing up. Growing up, it was just people from Dearborn shopped in Dearborn. Now it's a destination site. During Ramadan, you go out for iftar, people from all walks of life. You're hanging out at one of our coffee shops outside of Ramadan, you might not know a single person in the place because they're all from different neighboring cities. Dearborn is growing into, I think, what it's always been capable of. People don't know, but we have so many institutions here. The Henry Ford Museum in Greenfield Village. It's the #1 tourist destination in the state of Michigan. Almost 2 million people a year. And so now you're seeing people who are like, you know what, yeah, Dearborn is a place that I think I can raise my family. Even if I'm not Arab or not Muslim, I'm still interested in the city that's blossoming.
Hassan, he just started. He did the 30 days iftar.
Yeah.
What's the reason you did that? Like,
Honestly, look, it's a number of reasons, right? But primarily, in my role as a speaker, I get a lot of people that come up to me and say, hey, my son is about to graduate, or I'm about to graduate. Can you help me find a job? And I'm like, I know a lot of people, but I just don't have a list of what profession they're in. You know what I mean? Then you get the people that will come up to you and be like, hey, I'm single, or I've got a friend who's single. Can you find them someone to get married? And I'm like, people think I have a center that I run. I just get invited to speak, right? So they do. So this is why we did this project. And you can find the website somewherebackhome.com. So we wanted to hear a few things. Number one, we believe in the values of back home, right? Back home, like a village picks you up. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you felt that here in Dearborn.
second, a lot of single people, they don't like all the family overseas. They like to come and
I'm trying to
eat
basically
together.
create what we had back home, that same support structure, right? We don't want to make it a masjid. Alhamdulillah, we have a lot of masjids, you know, we have a lot of places. But if I were to put it this way, ours isn't a place where you come so that we pray for you. Ours is a place that we come to pay it forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you came in and said, hey, I need this, I'm not going to give you a dua and say, go. I'm going to say, all right, you need a job? Let me see who do I have in my database that's a professional. I'm gonna try and buddy you up with that.
Yep.
That's what I do, to be honest. When a lot of people ask, you know
And
what?
make our
I know
place a
this
better
guy.
place.
I know
you know?
this guy.
But more than anything, really, the whole reason that we wanted to do it is to honor the legacy of Sayyidah Khadija. You know, you mentioned, alhamdulillah, that you have a daughter called Khadija. I have a wife called Khadija. God is my witness, I married this girl just on a name, you know. Wallahi al-azim, I remember the first day I saw her, because see me, I felt, I hated Islam until I read about the Prophet. I'll be completely frank with you. My dad's very religious. I grew up in a very religious family. I always felt like someone was trying to explain to me Islam their way. But when I read the Prophet and I read about what he went through and how much he went through, I really fell in love with this religion, you know. And always she stood out. She always stood out, Sayyidah Khadija alayhi salamullah. So I remember, you know, being a young speaker, traveling the world. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't know why I'm doing it. And I get introduced to this girl Khadija, and I was like, man, I pray she's my Khadija, you know, like I really wish this is my Khadija. And she's been that and more, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Like when you're talking about your wife, I keep saying I don't want my wife to
I
see
got a
this
Fatima, Zahra.
because she's gonna see this.
It's the
You know,
most
I
beautiful
really
names,
want,
bro.
but yeah, I really love Sayyidah Khadija. I fell in love with her. She is one of not just the greatest females to have walked this earth, but one of the greatest humans to have walked this earth. As a Shia Muslim, you know, I feel extremely ashamed that most of my people don't know that she died in the first 10 days of the month of Ramadan. But we all know that Imam Ali alayhi salamullah passed away in the last 10. And we honor that memory in 3 nights or 10 nights in the end of Shahr Ramadan. We do a lot, we hold majalis. But when I first came to Dearborn, and this is really what I loved about Dearborn, is it gave me the opportunity to be around Muslims, to be around my people, to do the things that I wish I could do, you know. So the first thing I ever did in Dearborn when I came here is I opened my doors and I said, on the 10th of Ramadan, I'm holding a, you know, what's the most generous thing I can do? Cook brisket, because it takes bloody 12 hours to do, right? So I said, I want to do something very difficult for Sayyidah Khadija alayhi salamullah, just so that I feel like I honored her in my own way, you know. Your boy loves to cook. And I put it out there. I invite some of the shabab, you know, Muhammad Mawla, Mo Qasim, you know, the whole squad, you know, the same urta as they say. And I said, look, I said, go invite whoever you want, you know. And mashallah, they brought about 50, 60 boys to my house. I had to kick my family out. I said, sorry, you know, this is just boys only. Next year we did it again. And then, you know, people start saying, this seems like just a reason to hang out with the lads. You know, it's got nothing to do with Sayyidah Khadija. So this year I said, you know what, let's go out, let's show them that it is to do with Sayyidah Khadija. So we hired a venue. We've got about up to 150 seats available. We welcome anyone that walks through the doors. And again, we're doing it all American barbecue, you know. Muslim generosity meets Southern hospitality, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Like halal barbecue.
100%. And Big Red's cooking.
Before we're gonna end it,
Okay, even
because we have iftar.
Yeah.
The last question: are you gonna go like for Mir again?
Inshallah. Yeah, the plan is to kick off the campaign after Ramadan. And so we're excited for it.
We would love to see you again.
Inshallah.
For real.
I appreciate it.
You did a lot for the community. We
still
appreciate you. We appreciate you came here, and we'd like to ask you a couple of questions.
I want to say this. I came here the same year we met,
Yeah.
right? In Chicago. I think about 4 months later, and I came over here. And some folks asked me, would you move to Dearborn? And my answer then was, hell to the no. I wouldn't. Wallah, it was
I
hell
don't
to
live
the
in
no.
Dearborn.
Yeah.
But I love Dearborn.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like this is way back home, like way back home, like not back home, but like back in the days back home, you know. Dearborn is completely different again from an outsider's point of view. I have conversations with my friends. I got a lot of influential friends up in the Middle East, and I keep talking to them and I say, you know, we can connect. We have a person in office right now. Because look, I see Dearborn as being the next London.
Yeah.
It is so, people laugh at me when I say this. It is exactly like London, minus the
Dearborn?
minus the
It's
historical buildings, minus the accent and the other stuff, right? But what do I mean by London? In its diversity, in its opportunities, right? MashaAllah, we have a lot of good hospitals, a lot of good colleges, a lot of good schools. What do most people, Arabs, do back home? They go to London. Why? Not because we have the best schools, but we have a lot of already well-established Arab community. So whenever there's someone in Saudi, Kuwait, Dubai that is coming for a better hospital, an American hospital or whatever, right now they're going to the south, they're going Texas, they're going Florida, and I know because I do their paperwork, right? I want to bring them here to Dearborn because they already have that infrastructure, right? London does it. I think Dearborn is definitely the next place. We can bring in the Arab students, international students. We can bring in, I don't know,
Maybe by the time we're done, London will say we want to be the next Dearborn.
wouldn't that be? Why not? Let's do it. I mean, obviously, I'm a London boy always, but why not, you know?
The park in West Dearborn,
Yeah.
you the one came up with this idea, or you bought somebody like?
Yeah.
Because it's beautiful. Like
Yeah.
how you made
we
how you came up with this idea before we end it.
we had to apply for a grant from Wayne County, and they give a lot of restrictions. Like, we're not going to fund infrastructure, we're not going to fund new buildings, we're not going to fund this. And for me, during COVID, what we lacked was places for us to go. They said, okay, how about parks? And so the city, we strategically said, okay, we have $10 million that we can allocate in a grant. We told the county, if you give us 10 million, we can put up 10 million. And I'd already had conversations with the state about securing another 10 million. The county agreed, the state allocated the money, so now we have $30 million to allocate to parks across the whole city. Under the umbrella, the grant name was Peace Parks. And Peace stood for an acronym of having parks for everyone across the community. And when the designs came in after we landed the money, that's the design that we got. We made some tweaks accommodating, but it came out phenomenal. We can host concerts there,
It's
music,
beautiful,
lighting.
bro.
We're gonna have pop-ups this year. You're gonna see more lights. You're gonna see more light festivals happening in there for Ramadan and for Christmas. You can do anything. You can rent it out for host your wedding. You can do whatever you want there, and it activates your downtown. And so we're excited to open it up at the end of last year. But I think this year you're gonna see it really getting active.
Man, definitely the city appreciate you.
Yeah.
Whole city appreciate you for real.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much.
Inshallah.
I appreciate you. Ramadan Kareem.
Ramadan Kareem.